Today we're cracking open one of the creepiest episodes of Tales from the Darkside called Inside the Closet. And this one has a fun and gross twist ending. You're not gonna believe what's in the closet, by the way. Smash that like button and let's get into it. We open with an assortment of stuffed animals, and even animal bones on display, where we see Dr. Finner, played by Fritz Weaver, who is no stranger to Anthology series, having appeared in this episode of Tales from the Darkside, as well as the first Creepshow movie, the 1980s Twilight Zone reboot series, and even Friday the 13th, the series. Anyhow, Dr. Finner is interrupted by a knock on his door. It's Gail, played by Roberta Wise, who also appeared in the Hitchhiker Anthology series, and she's a college student here studying the fine arts. And she's looking for a room to rent, noting that this is the last room available in town. And Dr. Fenner mentions he's a very strict landlord, and there are to be no televisions, probably because he doesn't want her to see him on other Anthology series. Oh, and no stereos, no boyfriends over either. Gail mentions she does not have a boyfriend and only uses a slide projector to study with, and Dr. Fenner seems a little too pleased by this news. Now at this point, I hope Gail inspects the room for peepholes or video cameras because Dr. Fenner is acting sussy as hell. Dr. Fenner shows Gail the room and she notices a tiny door. Just as she asks Dr. Fenner why the door is so small, she notices he has already seen himself out. Gail is intrigued by what is in the little closet, and to be honest, I don't care what it is, as long as it isn't R. Kelly. You know what I'm talking about. Later that evening, Gail unpacks her belongings and begins to wonder once more about that little door and what's behind it. We see Dr. Finner kick the shit out of a box, indicating that he has anger issues, perhaps from being single and having no way to satisfy his unending man urges. This would also explain why he taxidermies small animals, which I assume he extinguishes in fits of rage. Back in Gail's room, we see her toss and turn, and the camera zooms in on the little door and her foot. This episode was directed by Quentin Tarantino. The little door's knob turns. It is now the next day, and Gail asks Dr. Finner for the keys to the house and then explains she heard a rat scrambling around the night before. Dr. Finner scoffs and proclaims the only rats in the house are the ones he strangles to death slowly and preserves in little jars of formaldehyde. Sometime later, Gail is in her room trying to unlock the tiny door, but it does not give. She decides to place a rat trap with cheese, but then the door opens on its own, to which she hardly even flinches. In fact, she is so unfazed by this that she decides to just place the trap inside the little room behind the door, despite that it just opened on its own. Gail is reviewing slides of artwork. This art is The Garden of Earthly Delights by Hieronymus Bosch. And anytime they show this art in a movie or a show, it means things are about to get super spooky. For real, like pay attention to this artwork popping up and everything. She hears the rat trap snap. So she decides to open the little door, but it doesn't budge. Gail, asleep now, the door opens. And what the fuck was that? Sorry, a small pale creature runs around like a lunatic, and the sound of disgusting little pale feet slapping across the wood floor causes Gail to awaken. She grabs a flashlight, and inspects the seemingly empty closet behind the tiny door. Gail decides to go back to bed, and as the camera zooms from Gail to underneath the bed, we see the eyes of a ghastly little ghoul. The next morning, Gail goes to show Dr. Finner that she put a rat trap in the tiny closet, but it will not open. Dr. Finner points out that it cannot be opened, and it hasn't been opened for years. As they leave the room, we see a box slide under the bed to remind us there is a creature still in the room, as if we forgot. Later that day, Gail returns from her classes and sees that the closet is not only open again, but packed full of small clothes and dolls. She gives the closet a little reach around. The very trap that she set snaps on her fingers. She screams and runs to the other side of the room, looking back at the tiny door to see that it closes on its own. The phone rings but goes unanswered as Gail tries to open the little door. Dr. Fenner is home and looking over his mail, which is mostly credit card offers and junk mail about extended warranties, but he did find some coupons for the Dairy Queen. I do love a cotton candy blizzard, if I must say so myself. Gail tells Dr. Fenner that something is living in the closet, but it appears he is more interested in the shitty 20% APR offer from Visa. Once more, night has fallen, and Gail is in bed. She hears the little door open, so she gets up to see what is in the closet. She turns on her flashlight and sees what can only be described as a hairless, fully grown albino monkey abortion. Gail screams. The creature hisses and claws at her, pulling her to the ground, which is all it took to take her out. And then the creature drags her corpse into the little closet. We see Dr. Fenner on the phone talking to Gail's mother, explaining he hasn't seen her recently and also saying, "Hey man, I'm not like her legal guardian, so stop sweating me and shit, man. It's not like I fed her to a little fetal abomination ghoul, okay? What the heck?" We see the ghoul approach Dr. Fenner, who, after greeting the creature with a scream, then picks it up and calls it a beautiful little girl and kisses the pale creature on the gums and teeth. Dr. Fenner tells the creature he will read her a story, probably The Ugly Duckling, as he carries the creature upstairs, lovingly praising it. And I hate to say it, but this whole interaction reminds me of me and my cat, who I also praise and call a pretty little girl because he seems to like it. And that's our time for today. If you made it this far, consider joining my Patreon with those pretty little goblins shown here on screen. And here are some videos I prepared just for you. Try not to make a pig of yourself while you watch them. And I'll see you next time.